Hi there, it's Amanda. I'm here to help you figure out how to do one of these webinars to join, potentially, the PAC family. So what we are offering here is a way for you to get involved virtually with some of our PAC team members before jumping into something in person. So making that trek and having to travel, but also then getting feedback directly from TIPA, myself and Lynn. So what we'll be doing here is going through the steps of how do you begin this process? How do you set up a webinar using Zoom? How do you do a webinar? And then what kind of content, what videos should you use? What should it look like? So I'm going to do a couple examples as we go through this so that you can see what it should look like, as well as how to do all those steps. So I'm going to begin by simply showing you the how-to guide that I've shared with you through email. So what you see here is that you'll want to, as a PAC speaker, consultant, coach, mentor, trainer, first you've got to choose a topic. The topics I have listed down here that match the videos on the TIPA's Now website. Once you've chosen a topic and a section of video that matches, you'll want to go ahead and create an objective. What do you want us to get out of this section of your training? For example, an objective might be learners will understand the 6 functions of the executive control center or the prefrontal frontal cortex. Another objective might be learners will be able to tell the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's. You can choose from a myriad of choices, but the topics that are listed below will give you a guide as to what to talk about. And then with your objective, you'll want to stick to something that's really simple, keep it small, make it a one-liner, just like the examples I gave you before. You're going to actually watch the video that I've shown you below here. The titles of the video are actually these sections here: Dementia 101, TIPA's Gems. Those are the ones that you'll be looking for. So when you've chosen a topic and you've watched the video, your next step is to actually decide what it is that you're going to do. What are you going to have us do? What kinds of questions are you going to ask us, or what motions are you going to have us do, so that we know what your objective is and so that you're taking us through what we call an adult experiential learning cycle. If you're looking to be a consultant, maybe you're taking us through a series of questions or role play to really get us thinking and talking out loud. If you're looking to be a trainer or a mentor, maybe you actually have a skill that you'd like us to master, so you want to partner us with someone else, and you'll have us do something in that moment rather than just talking through and answering questions. So there's a really different objective for each of those areas, depending on what you're interested in becoming. Once you have actually decided what you're going to try to show us and give to us as your objective, you want to reach out to your PAC team member. Right now it's me, but eventually it'll be one of our other PAC team members who will serve as that initial contact and who you'll do your webinar with before you transition into TIPA, Lynn, and myself. You'll let them know some potential dates, and they will set up a Zoom meeting for you so they can record it and have access to it and show it to us if they need to. You'll also need to let them know if they're supposed to join you for this meeting, how, and do they need a partner, or can they do it by themselves? Then you'll want to make sure you have Zoom on your computer. Zoom is an online video conferencing app that you can get on your computer, on your phone, on your laptop. I would recommend making sure you've got something that's a larger screen, because if you're going to be sharing videos and or documents, then it's much easier to control if you've got it on a bigger screen. You just go to zoom.us, and I'm going to show you that in just a minute, how to do that. And you download the software, and then you're able to run it on your own. You can set up your own meetings beforehand to practice so that you can play the video and make sure everything's working before you get on a call with one of us. Last but not least, you'll want to try it out. Once you've set up the Zoom and you've got everything set, this will be your chance to try it out, and then you'll get the feedback. If you want to invite others to your training, that's absolutely fine. Here are some of the topics that I've chosen from the videos that are on the TPAS Know website. So you've got Dementia 101, which is one of the videos that's there. The two big topics in this one are, what is the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's, which is also a big question that we get often. And the second one there is just, what is dementia? So it talks about the umbrella concept and thinking about what does that mean for me as a person if I start to hear the word dementia. And so you can decide how much of those videos you want to show depending on your objective. So if your objective is simply, what is the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's, well, then you probably want to stick with that first section of 1 minute to 2 minutes 17 seconds. If you want to go a little bit deeper, then maybe you start at 1:30 and you play it through to 4:22. The gems, there's a good description at the beginning where Tiba talks about what the gems are and why do we use them. And then she goes in depth into each of the gems. So you could simply have one of the gems and how you approach someone at one of those gem levels as your objective. And then you could bring in PPA or hand under hand, or just simply identifying the different stages of the gems so that you can get people to start thinking in a more positive way, focusing on what the person can still do. Maybe this is where consultants really dig deep and figure out, okay, so it's sounding like this is an amber. Now that you've heard what an amber is and what happens with ambers, where can we find the beauty? How can we make sure that we're still celebrating them as a unique and beautiful gem? Then the next video set is the brain changes. This TIPA goes into depth on a lot of the different sections of the brain, but mostly talks in depth about the sensory processing, our 5 ways we take in data, and she goes in order. And then, so I've broken it down here. You could choose to do one or a few of those, but those are a little bit longer, so you may not want to do them all. Last but not least, you've got the challenging behaviors. She talks a bit for the first 4 minutes about how we reframe behaviors, how we think about behaviors, and why are we calling them behaviors as opposed to reactions to our care or reactions to the environment. And then she does do a demonstration with a woman in that video using her PPA and substitution rather than subtraction. Now, it doesn't look like the traditional PPA, so if you're going to teach traditional PPA as the skill, that may not be the best video, but it does show an adaptation of PPA. So she really backs herself off, assesses the situation, figures out how to manipulate the environment, and then approaches again. So it's kind of cool if you're looking to go deeper into positive physical approach or PPA, then that may be the section that you want to use. So those are the basic topics. I'm going to go now and show you how to get to Zoom. So first of all, you can go to zoom.us, which is in the document. You can see that here, and you simply sign in. If you don't have a sign-in, then that's fine. You will create one. If you do have a sign-in, if you don't have a sign-in, there's a sign up for free button up here. Let me circle it here so you can see it. Sign up for free. And it allows you up to 40 minutes per call. So you can actually use this. It's a free app for anybody to download, a free software for anyone to download. So you can use this, like I said, for yourself on your computer or your phone, and it just allows you a video conference as opposed to a phone call. So what I'm going to do here is actually sign in. So you can see that I have a lot of calls coming up, but all you'll do is you'll schedule a meeting. You can name it whatever you like. My meeting is fine for now. You can set the date to whenever you like. You can set the time for however long you want it to be. You can also set your time zone. We're in Eastern time zone here in Michigan, so that's what I'll keep it on. And then you can decide whether you want someone to be able to join before you, which if you're running a larger group, that may be not something that you want, because that means that people can come on and wait for you. Or you can have it wait for you to join, and then it'll bring it up once you're there. If you're running a true webinar, you would sometimes want to click this one, mute participants upon entry, but you don't need to do that here. Then you simply schedule it. You can choose whether you use your Google Calendar, your Outlook Calendar, or your Yahoo Calendar. We at PAC use Outlook Calendar, but you can choose however you'd like to do that. You simply click that. It'll open it up, and then you'll be able to email it to whomever you need to email it to. So I'm going to stop that for now. If you have any questions on this process, this is definitely something you can let me know. But it's pretty simplistic. Zoom is pretty easy to use. As you can see, I'm just going to pull up what it showed here. So this is my Outlook that just popped up. And now I can type in anything else about it, and I can email it as an email to whomever I need to invite. Okay, so I'm going to go back now and show you one last piece on Zoom. So once you're in Zoom, there's a way to sort of share your screen, which is what you'll need to do once you start your training. There's a black box that comes up at the bottom of your screen where the video is, and it says Share Screen. And when you click Share Screen, it gives you some options. And so it looks like this once I've clicked Share Screen. And one thing that's pretty cool that you can do is you can share your whole desktop, which allows people to see everything that you're clicking on as opposed to just one item, which are these items down here. The good thing about sharing your desktop is that it doesn't take away the shared screen when another window pops up in front of it. So it kind of allows them to see everything. That being said, if you have a bunch of things open on your desktop, that might not be the best option. If you're really just looking to share one item, you want to share that one item. So the other piece that I wanted to point out here is at the bottom here, I've checked these two boxes, but they aren't checked to start with. You'll want to make sure you check them if you're going to share a video, because otherwise it won't play the video sound. You may also need to mute your own microphone, which is located at the bottom of that little black band that comes up as well in the video screen area. So I'm going to stop sharing that. I know these are a lot of steps to remember, but practice makes perfect. So as I said, that step on the how-to list, you want to make sure you actually practice this before you do it with someone who's going to be rating you on novice, proficient, or accomplished. So I'm going to go ahead and go back and share the how-to. And so what I'll be showing you today is an example of a webinar. I'm obviously not going to go through it in extreme depth, but I'm just going to give you an example of what should this look like? What should I be doing on this webinar? We call it a webinar because it's a call with a lot of people, but it can only be one person. It might only be the PAC team member who's assessing your video. And they may want to stop and ask questions, which is a part of the training as well. So you're going to do this as if it's a real-time training. I obviously don't have anyone on this call to ask questions, so you won't get to see that in real time right now. When you look here, I'm actually going to show you this concept right here. I'm choosing this topic. The three, in this video, it's the three main functions of the frontal prefrontal cortex. And it goes from 1 minute 50 to 3 minutes 2 seconds. If you're a proficient trainer, you should still be using a lot of TIPA's content, especially as a novice trainer, but even in proficient. You should still be using the videos of TIPA to kickstart your trainings and to get people to know the content so you don't have to worry about memorizing content so much as making sure you're taking them through a proper AELC afterwards. So I'm going to play the video content as if I'm running a webinar, and then I'll give some example questions to take us through this cycle of the adult experiential learning cycle. I'm then going to show you what it would look like without the video if you decide that you'd like to try something without a video of TIPA. More than likely, you'll want to stick to using the video of TIPA and then taking us through a cycle, whether it's a consulting cycle, an adult experiential learning cycle, a coaching cycle, or some other form of training that you want to try out. But for now, I am going to show both just so that we have it documented somewhere. So I'm choosing right now to share the video, which is on this website, and I've got it queued up ready to go at 1:43, as you can see here. I am going to play it full screen. I want to go back to me as the trainer and introduce the concept, because I haven't actually told you anything yet. And if I were really doing a training, it might be tricky to kind of jumpstart into it. So today what we're going to cover is thinking about the different functions that happen here in the brain and how they might be affected by dementia. So we're going to watch TIPA as she talks about the frontal prefrontal cortex and see if you can pick up on the different things that this part of the brain does, and think about, as you watch it, how that might be affected by dementia. So now I've done an introduction to it. Now I'm going to go back and share my screen, go full screen, and we're going to watch it.
And what happens here is this drive, this center thing, starts to be controlled. And the front part of your brain does three major things. Number one, it says, whoa, no, don't do that. That's going to get you in trouble. Or, you know what? The long-range positive outweighs the temporary ugh. So it causes you to be able to delay gratification, to wait on something, to decide, okay, well, I'll wait, instead of that's what I'm going to do. And it also gets you to pay attention to, is this going to get me what I want in the long run? So don't say that. That's mean. Don't do that. You'll lose your job. The second thing that the front part of your brain does and is really good at is getting you to think things through and make choices and decisions. And you can consider among all your options which one you're going to pick. Then the third thing it does, and this is the one that's last to develop, and to be honest, not everybody gets really good at it, it's this one. Seeing things from another person's point of view, being able to actually not consider it just from where you're standing, but from where they're standing.
So once I've played the video content, then I can jump right into an adult experiential learning cycle using questions like, so what did you see TIPA do? What were those three sections of the brain, or of the frontal prefrontal cortex? What do they do up there? And how might that be affected by dementia? So I can really start taking you through those cycles to deliver my one objective, keeping it small and simple. I want you to know what are the three functions in the frontal prefrontal and how is dementia changing those. That's all I wanted to teach you in this round. So I can make it really simple. I could also decide to take it a little bit further. I could have them do an actual activity. If I'm looking to be a mentor or a trainer, then I may want to show some skill. I might want to have them think about, how does that change our PPA? What might I need to do differently? Or what part of PPA really addresses that frontal prefrontal? Is there a section that does, or do we just skip right over that, and does it only focus on other pieces? So thinking through, if there's impulse control, then maybe I want to think through, yeah, maybe PPA actually does talk to impulse control, because it makes me pause and think before I jump into someone else's space, and it allows me to keep my distance so that I'm not putting myself and my body in someone's space who may have lost impulse control. So you can decide where you want to take these skills. That's the beauty of this content, is that you can take it where you like. Another option would be to potentially take it even further. Now, let's say that you are really confident in your understanding of the frontal prefrontal, and you actually have heard TIPA talk through these 6 different pieces rather than just the 3. This would be a great slide in the PowerPoint for you to share and talk through and use as a training tool after we've watched that video as well. Or if you feel really confident, then you could do it without the video. But sometimes it's best to have that as the basis, and then you can build off of that as a trainer. You want to make sure you're keeping in line with the PAC methods. If you have other tools and things that you like to bring in, that's great, but that may not be the place for it here. So if you haven't heard us talk about these slides, or if you're not sure what these slides are, then this is probably not your first webinar that you want to jump into. Keep it to content that you're comfortable with and confident with. And then as you grow with PAC, you can grow into more of this content. Another option is to potentially have us partner up and make sure you let us know ahead of time that we need to have a partner available so that we can actually practice PPA or hand under hand depending on what skill it is you're trying to do. If you're a consultant, then you may want to have us think through what that might look like for families or what that might look like for myself, and we may do some role play and going through a cycle so that we could do a little problem solving and what that might be causing. If they're losing their frontal prefrontal, what might I be seeing at home and how might that help? Or how might I help? So it's a lot of the similar cycles. It's just deciding what is the objective that you want to get across and making sure you stick to that objective and you let us know ahead of time. The last piece that I wanted to show you is where to find these videos. So these videos are found on the TPA Snow website. Right down here, if you are at the top homepage, you just scroll down a little bit and they're right here. The 4 videos that I've outlined for you are Dementia 101, TPA's Gems, Brain Changes, and then if you click this dot, you'll see the next ones, and Challenging Behaviors. If you have any questions on how to run the Zoom meetings, how to find these videos, or anything else that I've mentioned here, please don't hesitate to email me and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, take a look at the content, watch some of those videos, and start to figure out what kind of webinar do you want to run? What's your objective? What's your goal? If you're looking to be a speaker or a trainer or a mentor, then you can really stick to the content and run an adult experiential learning cycle. If you're looking to be a consultant, then you want to think through, do I want to do a role play? Do I want to have a scenario set up? What do I want to deliver and what content fits that? So again, enjoy, check out the videos, and practice, practice, practice with Zoom because it's pretty easy once you start, but it does take some work. All right.